YouTube, what's up? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards back for our week in review. Lots of stuff happening. The NBA is back and has blessed us with its presence. We had some wonderful preseason action on Friday evening. I am pre-recording this a little earlier than normal, so Saturday's games haven't happened yet. But we will see what tonight brings. You future people have already seen what happens. So, typical stuff. YouTube nonsense down below. Like, comment, sub, smash the like button. I would like to challenge you to see how quickly we can get this to 200 likes. So that is your mission if you choose to accept it. Market Movers links down below. If you guys want to try out Market Movers, coupon codes down there, 20% off your first payment. We use Market Movers all the time. It's fantastic. Highly recommended. What else is going on in the wonderful world of marketing and self-promotion? Star Stock still has the you get 10, I get 10, we all get 10 promo going on. My user promo code thingamajigger is in the description down below for that. Highly recommend Star Stock. I might do a separate Star Stock video early this week. I've already made just some nice profits flipping just in the last week. So, all right, let's get into it. I think that's all I got. Yeah, like, comment, sub, all that nonsense. So, a couple newsy things before we get into some charts and whatnot. First one, I just wanted to touch on this for a minute because I thought it was funny. Flawless Basketball, the last release of the 2019-20 Panini How Many Times Can I Milk This Class Fest? This is one of their temple products. It's always the latest released. I think, the pandemic has messed this up a little bit, and it's their highest end of highest end. Probably even more so than National Treasures, though I think National Treasures still gets more respect. Flawless is typically all game used, parallel or mostly game used, all on card autos. They put diamonds inside the cards. First off the line, Dutch auction. Get your car payment books out. Starts at $10,000. Now, they won't sell for $10,000, but I'll be curious to see how far they get. I'm not really good at this high-end product stuff, so I'm going to say it sells out at around, let's say 4,500 to 5K. That's purely a guess. I honestly have no idea. They're cool. I will enjoy watching a bunch of breaks on YouTube of it for background noise while I'm doing stuff for work or researching for videos or whatever. That's how I will get my entertainment out of Flawless. I wish I could afford something like that. I can't. So on to the next thing. Something I am actually interested in. And that's Hoops Premium. So Hoops Premium Edition, based off what I've seen in some Facebook groups and some Discords, I think this is coming out this week in retail. And there'll be a hobby hybrid version of it. I may try to pick up a hobby hybrid box of this to rip on the channel. I'm going to see what my local LCSs have it for on Wednesday. And if I could track down a box and get a video up early, I may do that, but I do not know for sure yet. Remember, ripping is typically a loss leader, but I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. I'm just in the mood to rip something. And sometimes you just get in the mood to rip a product and, going in, I'm probably not going to make my money back. I'd be better off to spend that $300 or $350 on pick a random PSA, 9 or 10 Prism or some raw cards or whatever. But, sometimes you get the itch. And this is a pretty low dollar itch. Hobby hybrid boxes are about $300 to $350, and there'll be a full retail release product for this. So you blasters are already in the wild. There were some reports out of the Midwest, as always, for whatever reason. Targets in the Midwest, Chicago, Minnesota, Wisconsin area, always seem to get stuff the week before everybody else. So when you see that stuff start to trickle in from that area of the world, it typically means the rest of us are getting it the following week. So I would fully expect to see this stuff hit shelves this week, depending on your store's individual schedules, and they look pretty nice. There was the sets that came out, the complete sets from Target that came out. I saw some cards of those; they look nice, and then the individual cards look nice. So this is Cardboard Connections. You guys can Google this up and check out the various different designs. It's a lot of pulsars, and different variations and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued. Not that Hoops is like, you know, the greatest product release of all time, but they look like pretty nice looking cards. So if you're looking for a cheap rip, even a hobby hybrid box for $300 seems fairly reasonable. Let's hop in. Let's talk about this really quick, and then we'll get into basketball. We're gonna transition over to football very quickly. I just kind of want to do, as we talked about last week, NFL Prism has hit and is by far the fastest moving cards on the NFL market charts. Once again, and it really seems like people are starting to, they're not turning on Prism, but they are definitely turning on the hobby boxes, and they are turning quickly. Uh, the prices are still around $1,000 for a hobby box, and you know, I had zero association with them, but Layton's is kind of my go-to. Layton Sports on YouTube is kind of my go-to to like background noise stuff when I don't really want to pay attention to what's going on, but I just want to kind of have something on. And I've been watching them rip NFL Prism hobby boxes all week, and a lot of them are dumpster fires. Like, feels like way more than normal. Once again, the set checklist is huge, and there's guys still not in their uniforms, which is a joke to me of your premier product. So singles prices are continuing to go down on some of the guys, which is once again expected. Not a lot of this stuff is still in market movers yet, but they've put the premier crop in there. Herbert's down 20%. That's completely expected. Once again, when these releases first drop, the stuff sells for the most immediately the first couple days. And then as the weeks go on, more and more inventory hits the market and the prices begin to fall and then eventually level out. Now you are seeing guys like Jalen Hurts going up because he got the bump for getting the starting job. So he's up 40% over the last 7 days, whereas Herbert's down 20% the last 7 days. Another thing I want to note on here is the price of silvers. Herbert's Silver Prism Raw is $1,000 right now. I could tell you right now, if I open one of those things tomorrow, I would sell that thing as fast as I possibly could. There'd be no way I'd be holding on to that for $1,000. Even Burrow at 825 seems insane to me. If you wanted to grade it, I'd pay through the nose for whatever PSA wants for an express and get it back in a couple weeks. And even that's risky. PSA Express right now is taking about a month. By the time you get it back, the playoffs have started and no one cares about Herbert and Burrow anymore, and their prices start to go down. But if you really wanted it graded to sell it, you probably would still come out ahead on it. I would send that thing in at Express if you think it could and get it back as quickly as possible and unload that thing fast, because I just don't see how our Herbert Prism Raw stays at $1,000 for very long. Even if he is going to be the rookie of the year, that team's probably not going to be good next year. I mean, who knows? NFL teams turn around fast, but that just seems wild to me. Even the base at 151 Raw seems high. I think that still has a ways to come down. And I wouldn't buy into Hertz. Is tricky because of $40. It's not bad, but I'm just not big on the NFL market. Let's switch over to NBA. Here's a fun one for you. Once again, we had Friday night preseason games, and the funny part was, if you guys watched the last video I did, I talked about, the upcoming NBA preseason and will the market still be overreactionary, et cetera, et cetera. And I specifically said when Talen Horton-Tucker goes off on Friday nights, we'll see what his prices do. And lo and behold, Talen Horton-Tucker for the Lakers went off on Friday night and had a really big game. So he is not in market movers. Shocking, I know, because most people don't even know who the hell he is. So I pulled up 130 point and I just kind of narrowed it down to Optic Hollow because he does not have a Prism rookie. So Optic is pretty much the cream of the crop for him. I think he's in Mosaic as well and Select and a few others, but he did not make Prism. So the Optic Hollow is kind of like the premier card for him, I would say. So we could see on Friday earlier in the afternoon, it was about a $20 card. Here's one for $24.99, one for 18, uh, one for 26, one for 25. And you can see the times here. Friday, 6:44 p.m. And then let's just scroll up a little bit here. And you can almost see it happening in real time. Oh, look, at 10 p.m. Eastern, that game was just starting, or maybe in the first quarter. I don't remember. $40, $30, $25. Oh, look, overnight, $60. Scroll up a little bit more here to the more recent sales from today. We got a $50 one. We got a $60 one. We got a 52 Aussie. I don't know what that comes out to US, but it's basically doubled. It's essentially 2x in the matter of one game, one preseason game. So, yeah, the market's still overreactionary, guys. It's still going to freak out when guys play well, especially these cheap guys, because you could buy into them so cheap. $20 for an optic hollow of an NBA player is fairly reasonable. So, needless to say, this market's still gonna want to freak out over every little thing. I wasn't sure how it was gonna be. It's not bull level, but it's not nothing. People are still freaking out over some NBA preseason games. So we'll see what happens tonight and Saturday night's games. Once again, you guys have already watched those or looked at those box scores. So, Darius Garland could have gone off already by tomorrow morning, which is very viable. And maybe it ends up happening. Once again, future people, we'll see tomorrow morning when you guys are watching this. But Colin Sexton's out and Kevin Porter Jr. is not playing tonight. So Garland's going to get all the run. Once again, this feels weird talking about this because you guys know what already happened in that game, and I don't. But yeah, the market definitely still likes to freak out about stuff. All right, let's get into some current NBA guys. And this week, I have a few. The last week or two has been relatively stable to flattening. I think people have made their buys, and now it's like the calm before the storm. Everyone's holding their breath. Like I talked about in Thursday's video, of everyone is waiting for the season to actually start to sell a lot of players. So if you want to get off someone, I'd recommend getting off of them now. You might lose a little bit of money, but make your life a little bit easier. So we're going to whip around and talk about some of the key guys, and then there are a couple players that are making major moves. So for the purposes of this, for most of these guys, I pulled 14-day charts. I know it's the week in review, but I like to look at the 14-day because I just think it shows a better picture. And this is, boy, my mouse does not want to cooperate today. So we're going to go through a couple of the key stars. First up, Tatum. His PSA 10 and 9 base prism over the last 14 days. This is an interesting one. If you want to get in on Tatum, I believe there is a buying opportunity on the 9 if you are a Tatum believer. His 10 has creeped up 10%. It's basically right at $800 now, give or take. And the PSA 9 hasn't. It's still sitting at 225, which is about 3.5x. The 10 is about 3.5x the 9. That number is usually around 3. So there's a little extra edge there on the 9. And once again, Tatum is one of the players that I believe in as a relatively more long-term hold. So even if he drops a little bit, I'm not that concerned about it. I think he could have a really big season, especially with Gordon Hayward gone now, just being one less person clogging up that rotation. So the Tatum 9 definitely intrigues me if you're looking to get on Tatum at low 200s with the 10 spiking up. Next up to bat, let's take a little peek at Luka. What's he been up to the last 14 days? Luka just does Luka things. And by what I mean by doing Luka things is he just goes up 5 to 10% every 2 weeks like clockwork. And I expect that to continue to happen unless he just starts going absolutely crazy once the season starts. But his base prism is again floating between $1,700 and $1,800. The PSA 9's up to around 600. And the BGS 9.5 is right in the middle at around 1261. So, everything's right where it should be. The 9 is around 3x, or the 10 is about 3x more than the 9. And the BGS 9.5 is kind of sitting right in the middle. So all this looks normal. There's no edge here to be had. But Luka just remains to be one of, I think, the safest investments that there is when it comes to sports cards, regardless of what you're buying, as long as it's rookie year stuff and not inserts. Yeah, those even might have some value, but I see a lot of people asking me like, "Hey, should I get this Luca Emergent?" No, don't buy the Emergent. Go buy a PSA 9 Optic Raw or something, or Optic Base for around the same price or whatever. Um, but the more Luca you could stack up, I think the better. Yeah, he could get hurt. Yeah, something could happen, and they might not have like a crazy good season this year. Kristaps Porzingis is going to be hurt to start the season. They're probably going to be like a 5 to 6 seed to maybe a 7 seed, depending on how things play out and what happens with Houston and all that. But, and he doesn't have a second star yet. But Giannis hasn't signed his extension yet. I don't think he's going to. He has till the 21st. Maybe he does. From a business standpoint, even if he wants to re up with them, to me, it makes more sense to wait just in case something crazy happens this season. I'm gonna try to will it into existence and keep speaking it. I really want Giannis to go to the Mavs. I just really want to see him and Luca teamed up together. And man, oh man, if that happens, both their card prices will go crazy. Luca's specifically would go absolutely nuts because they basically be guaranteed Western Conference Finals every year for the next 5 years, probably. So that's what's going on with Luca's stuff, and I think I'm gonna do. Um, I've been doing the player spotlights videos sporadically. I did a Trey Young one and I did a Luca one, and I think the next one I might do is Giannis because I feel like the market's been kind of sleeping on his stuff to a degree where it hasn't gotten the love and the price movements that a lot of other players have, and his stuff is pricey. So let's take a quick little jaunt past Ja and Zion Town. Once again, 14-week chart. Ja has stayed relatively flat, literally a $3 change over a 14-day period. And Zion's up 10%. His base PSA 10 Prism is up to about $700. His Ra's up, his PSA 9's up. He's up across the board. Um, I'm gonna be real curious to see what happens if he comes out and just like, 35 and 10 or something in his first game. How insane these get, and how quickly they shoot up. Um, or if he comes out and looks like, you know, the Pillsbury Doughboy like he did in the bubble, how quickly they go down. I don't think there's any in between with Zion. I feel like he's either going to be really, really good or he's going to look like his bubble self. Time will tell. Um, they said the other day he has no restrictions, so he'll be playing full minutes as much as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big quarter in the preseason if his prices get a huge spike. I think everyone's holding their breath on Zion to see what he does before they make a move one way or the other. Trey Young. We've talked a lot about Trey Young recently, and he, over the last 14 days, is down 15%. His PSA 10 touched $700 for a hot minute, and is now down to just above 600. And I think this is just people, they got all hyped up about the offseason moves, and we talked about it here, and they got spiked up. And now I think it's people taking their profits. They bought in the summer, pre-bubble, they bought during the dip in mid to late October, and they sold out at the peak and locked in their profits like I talk about doing all the time. And I think it was probably smart. I mentioned in a video about a week ago, with the 5 guys I would be looking to sell before the season starts, and I didn't put Trey officially on that list, but he was an honorable mention. And I said, if you got a PSA 10 and you bought it for $400 and it's up to 700 and you got a couple of them, I'd sell one now. Who the hell knows what happens once the season starts? You know, you could leave some money on the table, but I would lock in some profit on that, especially if I had 2 of them. You can almost sell one to cover the cost of the other one or close to it. Um, so we'll see what happens once games start with them. I have a feeling. I think the Hawks, they're definitely probably going to make the playoffs or at least a play-in game. I wouldn't be surprised if they struggle a little bit early on and he sees another drop. Um, these teams that get the trendy preseason buzz always tend to seem to underperform, and they might have some trouble gelling together. That's basically an entirely new team. They didn't play for 8 months, 9 months, or whatever it was since March to begin with. And now you throw all these new pieces and parts in there. They got Capella, who has never been on that team. He never played 1 minute with them, even when they traded for him. You got Bojan now. You got Danilo coming off the bench. You got Collins. There's a lot of players there that need time. You got Herter, Rondo, Reddish. There's just tons of guys. Chris Dunn, who's hurt to start the season. And I could just see them struggling out of the gate. And if his prices dip a little bit because of that, I'm not saying he's still not going to put up 30 or 40 a night. But keep an eye on the Hawks, guys. There could be a buying opportunity there if they start slow out of the gate. Another one that's way up, and I'm not surprised by this, and we don't really talk about this guy much on the channel. And that's Brandon Ingram. His PSA 10 Prism. This is one of the ones kind of just more doing major jumps in the market. Last 14 days, up 42%. And this is just Pelicans hype. And he signed a maxed extension, and he showed some real flashes last year, especially in the bubble. He had a couple really good games early on before that team fell apart. But yeah, he started a 2 week period off at 281 and is ending it at 400. And this is a very low pop count card. This 2016, 2017 Prism stuff, basically anything pre 2018 has a very low pop counts. Even 17 has some pretty low pop counts, but like 2016, there's only 717 of his PSA 10 base Prism out there. That is a very small number. Lucas is at 15,000 almost in comparison. And last but not least, and we just talked about the Hawks. This is one that's way up over the last 14 days. That's DeAndre Hunter. His PSA 10 Prism is up to $85 from a starting of 60. Not a believer. I'm telling you right now, I don't usually like to walk out on limbs this solid and give like really straight buy and sell advice. I like to more, here's the numbers. You guys kind of take them as you will and do what you want with them. I do not believe in DeAndre Hunter at all. I don't think he's going to get enough minutes to show much once the season starts. And that is not good for prices. I just don't see how he gets time. Supposedly, I think Reddish is going to end up starting. And then you got Gallo coming off the bench with Herter coming off the bench and Hunter coming off the bench. That's just not going to be very many minutes. What's he going to get a night? 16 minutes? 18 minutes? Not doing a lot with that. So if it was me and I made good profit on DeAndre Hunter stuff, I would 100% be looking to move it prior to the season starting. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can yell at me in the comments in a month or something after he's been putting up massive numbers. So that's all I got for you guys today. Like I said, next video is probably going to be a Giannis player spotlight, maybe. We'll see, unless something great with it being like in season now. Essentially, if something crazy happens, I may pop on for more random videos here and there, versus the normal like 3-ish a week. But that's all I got for you guys today. YouTube nonsense down below, like, comment, sub, all the good stuff. And we will catch you guys on whatever the next one is. Peace.